Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a very special day. Today it is celebrated as Environment Day, 5th of June. And we are very lucky that Prime Minister Modi has made a very determined resolution to combat all forms of pollution in this country. India is one of the most polluted countries in the world. 11 cities in India are the most polluted cities in the world. So you can imagine the intensity and the scale of devastation which we are going to face if we do not regard environment as one of our most important priorities of our lives. As a matter of fact, there's a concept called sustainable development, which means that you have to survive along with the industrialization and also the environmental protection. But unfortunately, what is going on is with the massive industrialization across the country, it is polluting our air, it is polluting our sea. And what is happening as a result of that, today's generation is going to get badly crippled as a malnourishment. We are inhaling almost very polluted air. 2.5 pm particular matter, which is the smallest size, is hanging, distributed, diffused in the air, and this goes straight away into our lung, which cause a pulmonary obstructive disorder, heart, cardiac disorders, and many disorders in the body is a result of the pollution. Do you know the parameter fixed for India is 60, whereas when we have measured, it turned out to be 999 because the scale does not have the capacity to measure beyond 999. This triple digit pollution is so dangerous in nature, it is almost equivalent to 30 cigarettes you are smoking a day. I'm just giving you a small example. For example, you have a litter, you have a rubbish in your house and you throw it out. And you feel very comfortable that you've thrown out your rubbish. But as a matter of fact, you are loading the environment which house and shelter millions and billions of people in this country. So you are removing rubbish and throwing into the personal space of billions of people who live in India. Do you know what is India's population? It is 140 crores as on date. And you can imagine India's population is almost equivalent to 15% of world population, which is 7 billion people. And total area of India in the geography is about 2%. So you can imagine huge amount of pressure of the population explosion, which is consuming, which is contributing to the pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, and as a result, our sustainable objective is getting badly disturbed. Now, Mr. Modi, who is absolutely committed to bring about, restore the environment, and this is Amrit Kal Mahotsav period, they have committed that India will stand by replacement and substitution of the fossilized fuel by the renewables, which includes solar and wind power. The objective is to set up a 500 gigawatt, which is a humongous objective. But I'm very sure under the current dispensation of Mr. Modi, we will be able to replace this fossil fuel. India is highly dependent on hydrocarbons. We are a net importers of oil. Our self-sufficiency almost about 3 to 4%. We are not adding to reserves. So what is happening is we are going to face a huge hydrocarbon challenge. As a result, if we burn the fossil fuel, it adds to the carbon dioxide, it adds to the carbon monoxide, NOx and SOx, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, the many particles which get distributed, which are absolutely dangerous for the human existence. No wonder Mr. Modi in Paris Declaration and also in the Glasgow Declaration, in a Paris Agreement, they have committed that India will bring down this fossilized gas by 35%. The carbon footprints, the carbon mission which India is adhering to, and by the end of 2050, India will have a zero emissions, which is a very tall task, and I'm sure with the kind of government determination we will be able to achieve it. You can imagine that Elon Musk, the Teslas, they want to build up, they want to carry all the industries to the Mars, to other planets, so that India becomes the natural garden for the people to live. You can imagine the challenge is humongous. The sea temperature is going up. India's mission is to keep it 1.5. The entire world mission is to keep 1.5 under Paris Declaration and a Glasgow Declaration, though it is very powerful, but at the same time, it gives you an option to withdraw, to continue, to be part of it, and you can voluntarily disclose your objectives of reduction of the pollution in your country, how much fossilized fuel you need to reduce, what kind of forest cover you want to give. The deforestation in the country is so much. People are burning parali, and which is causing pollution. The plastic is thrown into the sea, into the water. They are not treated. Biodegradable products are not available. They are just non-degradable. You cannot destroy them. They remain on the on the berth of on the sea bottom, and this is becoming like a mountains of plastic, which is going to cause a lot of issues. Plastic bottle which we drink water in different kinds of, which we call it mineral water. Do you know how dangerous it can be? This is the concept is called leaching. When the water is contained in a plastic water, there is a small micro particles of plastic which goes into the water, and which we drink. It can be so dangerous. We think this is one of the purest water, but unfortunately, I'm very sorry to say that plastic bottle are very dangerous in nature, and we need to get rid of it, but there's no choice. If you take, for example, you can have a substitution for fossil fuel, like for diesel and petrol. You can come out with the electrical cars, you can come out with the hybrid models. But do you know one thing? Is there any substitution for air, oxygen? Can anybody build up a alternative to oxygen and you can start inhaling? No. Can you build up a substitute for water? Answer is no. So if you do not have the power to build the parallel life surviving material like water and air, and you are continuously polluting water and air, can you imagine? Is it not a self goal? Is it not self destructive enough for the people to die on its own? What kind of world you are going to offer to your generation, your new generation, young generation? You are handing them over smoking chimney. You know how dangerous it is. If it settles down, the carbon particles settle down in your lungs, it can choke your lungs. The lungs can turn black and it can get into the bloodstream. What will happen is you will completely, I mean, one day it's like a writing your own obituary. And what we are finding is that world is coming together. Of course, there are many people, there are many delinquent states who are not following the instructions, and because it is expensive to maintain the pollution control, because you need to invest in the hardware. China, for example, has come out with a huge air purifiers which can purify the air in about a few kilometers around that, but we don't have that. So government has to come out with a very serious regulatory intervention to ensure there has to be some kind of regulatory incentive also. For example, if you return the plastic bag, then you'll be paid for it. Maybe government can initiate, some private volunteers can create some kind of a fund that if you return back the plastic bags back to that, and you are paid for it, as a matter of fact. Or they make it so expensive that becomes unaffordable for you to buy a plastic bag. So people will start using alternative material to carry their stuff. Now plastic is easily available. So therefore, there can be a lot of regulatory intervention which we need. Unfortunately, regulatory intervention, for example, NGT's order banning the 10 years diesel car and petrol car. I'm very sorry to say, my due respect to the judicial process, but it has not brought about any significant reduction in the pollution level. I request and appeal the Supreme Court and also the government to come out with the legislation, because either we convert them into retrograde or substitute with the electrical vehicles. Till such time, it has to be a phase-wise reduction. A lot of poor people cannot afford to buy brand new cars. So my request is that we need to review this decision so that people can make use of these cars, provided you bring about certain technical changes, you get it examined, so your pollution emission level is brought down to a reasonable level. Now, saying that you cannot use it, a lot of poor people cannot afford to buy brand new cars. They are expensive. No car is available less than 5 to 10 lakh rupees, and this can be a lifetime earning of the people. So therefore, this is a point which I want to flag through this on Environmental Day. Secondly, Sweden, for example, has come out with a beautiful sustainable developmental model. Their growth rate has been phenomenally high and reduction in the pollution. So it does not mean if you go for industrialization, the pollution is inevitable. What I'm trying to say is that there's a principle called polluters pay, that any polluter who is creating a pollution needs to pay. For example, they need to they discharge the effluents to the enforcement bodies like Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board, are perhaps not effectively implementing the rules and regulations. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, look at Mr. Modi's vision because he understood that without clean India, India cannot progress. And we have seen a lot of money has been allocated for this, and we can see some perceptible difference in the mindsets of the people as well as in the country. Thanks to Mr. Modi for his great initiative, and we need to accelerate Swachh Abhiyan as a not federal government initiative, but as a public initiative, as a private initiative, and a social initiative. Another thing which is important in life is that look at the way China is one of the most polluting country in the world. America is the most polluting country in the world. When Donald Trump was the president of the United States, he withdrew from Paris Agreement, and later on when Joe Biden came, he came back and joined Paris Agreement. So this kind of attitude of volatility, of optionality, is so dangerous that country like America can take a view whether I should be part of the Paris Agreement or not. So what is United Nations Secretary General has said, that there are lots of lies. People speak all kinds of lofty goals of achieving the greenhouse gas emission reduction, climate change, water temperature, plastic disposal, forest covers. There are plenty of schemes across the globe, but how many activities have come onto the ground is a matter to be seen. So therefore, there is a psychological disregard for environmental protection because today we live in the world of immediate gratification. But let me tell you, friends, you cannot deceive yourself for too long. We are not very far off when we are sitting on the brink of disaster and catastrophe. So my appeal, my humble appeal to all of you is that all the citizens in the country need to come together, try to ensure that minimum pollution is created. The world is a family of millions and billions of people. Keeping your house clean does not end your responsibility as a climate lover. On the contrary, you need to create an awareness, you need to go around, talk to the young children. Even the educational institution need to create a separate dedicated curriculum on environment so that young generation is grown up with a huge amount of consciousness in terms of their growing their next family. Otherwise, generations will be wiped out if you ignore the environment. Once it starts ignoring you, you won't know where the humanity will disappear. Look at the way corona came and shook the entire planet. It's only 4 grams of corona which has held the 7 billion of people, world's population, to ransom. So my suggestion, friends, that we need to strengthen the hands of our Prime Minister Modi on Swachh Abhiyan. We need to adhere to the replacement of the fossil fuels by the renewable energy like wind and solar. We need to purify our Ganga, Jamuna, and all the rivers which have been badly polluted. Their colors have changed. They have become black. They are no more drinkable. Do you know, in 10 or 15 years' time, very large number of cities will have no water left in their water table. So there will be no water. South Africa has recently seen there was a completely zero water situation, and it has gone through a difficult time. I'll not be surprised if we will start seeing in our generation, 5 years, 6 years' time, the construction work is going massively without the corresponding resources available. So the expansion has to be done provided there is enough electricity, there is enough water, there are enough other resources to sustain the humanity. Otherwise, this imbalance, people who are rich can afford, but people who are poor, they cannot afford. There will be a very serious deficit in terms of our environmental responsibilities. Friends, I want to say Jai Hind to you, and let us celebrate Environment Day. Not only Environment Day, every moment should be dedicated to the environment. This is my message to you, and I'm sure whatever little contribution I can make through my speech, it will bring about some changes and reach out to the government, reach out to the NGOs who are committed that we need to bring about a very, very environmentally clean, compliant, so that we can breathe and we can enjoy our lives, we can be healthy, and we can turn India, not India, but the entire world into the peace of heaven where people can breathe, enjoy the good drinkable water. And this has to be a concerted affair of the society at large, with the government as a partner, private partner initiatives. So this is all my message. Jai Hind. Thank you very much.